Opening October 9th is the film Just Let Go. It tells the story of Chris Williams, a man who had everything taken away from him, but instead of going for revenge, he decided to forgive instead. We had a chance to sit with the cast and talk about the film.
And he walked away.
It was the most crushing moment of my life. Emotionally, physically, spiritually.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Del Mar-a-Lago. They've opened this restaurant for us. It's kind of cool. How did you find out about the script, Ian?
I got the script through my manager. It was sent to me. I read it. I didn't realize in the first reading it was a true story. I shared it with my wife. We read it again, and then how I got involved in it, I met Chris and Patrick, the two directors, and from a series of chats with them, I jumped on board.
And the character spoke to you. What about the character was compelling enough for you to take the role, though?
You know, I'd been in that kind of space anyway. Funny enough, I'd directed a short film called Dress, which did you ever see it?
Yes.
Which kind of dealt on similar themes about, in my short film was about my character who loses his wife and how he deals with that, and his children, how they deal with that, and it's a bit different, but it has similar themes. So I was in that space already. So when that came to me, I was like, oh, this is kind of strange how this has come to me. But I was in that sort of space anyway, that zone anyway, so it did speak to me, and it was such a great message, and I knew it was a much bigger film of mine, obviously, and it was a true story, and sometimes you just go with your gut and think, because it was a low budget, and you're always taking, it was a super low budget film. So Chris and Patrick were first-time directors, but you take a chance and go, and I do enjoy indie films. I work mainly in television, but I was sold quite quickly after meeting everyone and reading the book and the script and just the themes that it brought up. For me, it was going to bring up something that was positive, and it's very rare you can make a film a low budget. It's usually a shoot 'em up or but this had a really good message, and I thought this would be something I'd be very proud to be involved with, and I am. So.
Sam?
So I heard Chris's story when it happened. I heard the whole thing. I saw interviews with him, and it touched me very profoundly. And the theme of forgiveness, the idea of forgiveness. I've written a book. One of the chapters is on forgiveness. And so I'd been working on that for a while. And then through a friend who suggested me to Dan, I got the script. Dan sent me the script, and I called him and I begged, please let me be a part of this movie. What can I'll do craft service.
So she did that and acted very well at the same time.
Yeah, her tacos are absolutely wonderful. In producing a movie like this, I mean, there is a fear, and I'm going to go around the table with this. There is a fear of faith-based programming and faith-based movies because they can be overly, agenda-type movies, and audiences don't particularly like that, and they can be so subtle that, did I just see a faith-based movie?
We tried to not take faith out of it, but we tried to make this a human story about a real person and his real experience, and we didn't want to denominationalize it. Mm-hmm. And so we had a very talented writer, Vance Mellon, that Chris and Patrick attached, and they worked tirelessly for a long time trying to craft a story that wasn't going to be shoved down anyone's throat. It was just going to be, this is it. Yeah. And
but the theme of forgiveness is quite religious. It is a faith-based theme. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to make it, it already is. Just the idea of forgiveness.
Yeah, that's where I disagree. To me, it's not a faith-based film. Yeah. It's a film about forgiveness. I don't see that it needs to be about faith. It's forgiveness, and that transcends faith. We could all have the power, and Chris proved, that he had, it was a story about a man who forgave. I think so. It goes beyond faith. It doesn't need to. It's not necessarily about faith.
Sam, are women more easy to forgive than men? Are women able to forgive more readily and easy?
That came out
Yeah.
funny.
It was an odd way of stating that question.
How would I know? I'm not a man.
In general life that you've noticed, do women forgive quicker than men do?
That's a very good question. I don't think so. I think forgiveness is the capacity to forgive is not specifically a feminine or a masculine virtue. So I don't know that you could divide it by gender.
But you could say that men are more ready to seek vengeance. If someone hits me, my instinct is to hit back.
I don't know. There's that phrase about a woman scorned.
That's true, but I'm just thinking, you could be right, and it's right, but you're right, we have no proof of who can, it depends on the individual, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's almost expected of a man nowadays. If he doesn't hit back, if he doesn't strike back, then he's considered weak. Whereas if you are, Chris, that is the much harder route, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the easier thing is to go, you hit me, and everyone goes, yeah, you're right, you're a guy.
Yeah, and the thing is that, as I said, it's the last thing we kind of do, is we go through a lot of, yelling and screaming, and, and then maybe a year or two later, you've got to go, well, okay, I'm going to let that go, I've had people steal pens from me, and I'm still angry about that, so
This movie's going to be good for you.
Yeah.
And Chris, you and I talked about this because there's a component to forgiveness where you have to learn to forgive yourself. And I think that as a culture, we're not very self-forgiving. We're very inclined to beat up on ourselves for things that we do and not offer ourselves forgiveness. And, there's a part of the story where you had to admit to yourself, okay, I was driving the car, there was nothing I could do, but I was there because of choices that I had made that led up to that. And so at some point I had to look at myself and go, nope, I forgive because it's not my fault, and move on from that. And if you don't, then you're carrying a burden.
Yeah, and how do you give that up, though? I mean, how do you say, had I seen it 2 seconds earlier, or had I reacted this way, and that game plays in your head for the rest of your life?
Had I waited at the stoplight just a little bit, at the stop sign, a little bit longer, had I, right?
Well, and that's the anguish.
I think that's the line that's the line in the movie, the what if game. Angelo says it,
Can't do it.
There's one in the movie when I play Chris, and I saw it recently.
Brilliantly, by the way.
Thanks. But there's a line that I say when I meet Curtis or Cameron, where you say, or I said, there were times when I wanted to destroy you, and I think that is a good line to hear, because that's what most people would feel. That's the natural thing, to know that you did feel that you had that, but that you chose not to, as opposed to from the get-go go, I've let it go, you know what I mean? So I think that's an important, that we know that you did feel this, but
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I love about the movie is, and the depiction is because it really brings out all of these emotions I felt. And because I chose to let it go, I had, I think, an appropriate way to deal with the emotions without, negatively affecting the community or my family or my boys especially, or even, the young man that lived this at night. I could kind of go through those moments more privately, but it didn't spare me the let it go. It didn't spare me from those emotions. So yeah, I had horrible days of grief and anger and desire to take, just to get the vengeance. But none of them saw, any realization.
And what do you say? I mean, about that. I think that's a natural progression. Well, thank you. That's a natural progression of where human beings are with this and all. Tell me a little bit about the first time the cast got together. There was a table read, obviously.
no.
No table read?
Well, because of
It wasn't even a chair read,
Really?
really.
We couldn't afford a chair?
This was so last minute, kind of. It was like low budget. It was like, we're shooting when? Okay.
Were you concerned about that?
Yes and no. I'll be honest. There was very little prep time. I met Chris, and I had to figure out, am I doing? Thank you, ceviche. And I had to figure out, how do I get into this character? So with so little prep time. Oh, wow. Let me just set that. Doesn't that look good?
This is Dennis,
that
the
looks
owner
like
of the restaurant. Thank you, by the way.
Thank you. That used to be my favorite dish.
nature of
My
this-
mom used to make.
We had Ian on our list of people that we would love to see, and so our casting director went to his agent, he got it, and then we found out that he's on a TV series they have to be shooting, and so we basically had 3 weeks to prep, and we had a hard out for him, and we had to schedule it very quickly. We shot it in 21 days. We didn't have time to do anything we really needed to, so we basically went on preparation, and the directors and I met, and we talked about it. Can we do this? We believed that we could, and so we just went forward and made it happen.
So you've got this independent film, lots is riding on it, and you have 20 days to do it. I mean, that's like baking a cake in 8 minutes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. What kind of shortcuts did you take as filmmakers? I mean, if any?
Well, Chris and Patrick, the directors, have been working together since they were 12 years old. I've known them for 15 plus years now, and so we had, a partnership and a friendship that existed. We kind of knew each other very well, and so we've done a lot of things together before, and we've done it for little, and we've done a lot. And so we just felt like this was our chance to really prove that we could make this happen, and that the story and that forgiveness as a whole, we'd find some things that would help us. There was miracles that happened on this set day after day after day to allow us to accomplish and make our days.
Wow.
There's no other way to say it.
And when you have a team like this, it becomes a family because of the need to get it done, the need to actually complete the project on time. And is this family still going to talk to each other and love each other after the premiere?
We shall see.
I hope so.
I made an announcement at my church service this morning, and a woman came up to me afterwards and said, I lost my son 31 months ago to a teenage drunk driver, and I spoke to the boy's mother, and he doesn't sleep at night. And I told her, I'm praying for your son. And so she's very excited to see the movie.
In Hollywood, there's a tendency to have a situation like this and then make this a revenge movie.
Right.
And well, it's the type of thing we all grew up. This is how Charles Bronson made his.
Yeah.
And I think it's an interesting statement about where we are today in America, about looking forward to and doing a movie that has to do with the other thing, is the real human connection we need to forgive.
Your point is, and I've been looking for movies like that where the hero is the guy who does not fight back. Unfortunately, it's not particularly dramatic, and that's why it just, it doesn't work as a movie. But this one does, because it's a story of forgiveness. But by and large, if you don't do the vengeance, it's just not going to be a dramatic movie. And I remember going to see things like History of Violence, and when the young kid in it, who's I don't know if you remember the movie, the young kid in it, eventually, who's getting bullied by the high school guy, and he eventually punches the guy. The people in front of me jumped and went, yeah, yeah, and I was like, wow, that's just the wrong. No, it would have been cool if the other kid said no, don't, But it was just that's just a sort of nature that people want. Yeah. They want that thing. But this one, I know they're going to come out of this going, oh my gosh, the strong and powerful thing to do is to forgive. I mean, if only we could all, do what Chris Williams did, then that's going to be the message of this one.
Gandhi said forgiveness is not for the weak. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong.
And H.G. Wells said, the first man who uses his fist loses in any argument. And I think it's our tendency to want to do I think it's easy not to forgive. It really is. You did this to me, and we're all enraged somehow over something. But, the title, says it all. Just let it go and let that vacuum that they're filled up with something else the universe will give you.
In the movie, Sam's character is very disappointed that he forgives.
Most of the conflict in the world today is because of lack of forgiveness. It's some brotherhood that started years ago, and they can't let go.
Yeah.
That's part of why we want to tell this story, and that's part of why we needed an actor like Ian to be able to carry this whole thing on his shoulders, because we knew that the content's internal. We knew that it's not like beat him up a whole bunch of stuff, but the performance had to be such that was conflicting in his eyes and in his emotion and in his persona completely. And that's what we got out of him, and I hope that's what people look at and realize that, wow, this was dramatic because the story is real life, not because they fabricated any of this. This is all real. All the characters actually were people that Chris interacted with in his real life.
And as actors playing people that really exist now, and it's not like playing Lincoln or, but playing someone that really exists now, how much of a burden is that on you just to get it right?
Well, I've never done it before. This is my first time, and very.
You didn't shave your head, I noticed that.
I did offer, but that's the thing.
Would have been a strong choice.
I wasn't going to do a. We talked about it. I met Chris, and I said, I don't have enough time, and I'm not the actor. I can't do an impersonation, nor do I. I wouldn't be fair. Am I getting his mannerism right? I'm not going to do it. But I can take from meeting you and seeing your interviews and reading the book and the script. I just took an essence of what I thought would be the right thing, and I was guided by Chris and Patrick, and guided by hopefully you, and taking my own personal, when my father died and my mother, how she reacted, and just taking that and just hoping that's all you can do. Yeah. And say, this is what I think this is what it feels like, I think this is what it looks like, and that's all I could do.
What did you learn from playing him? From playing this man?
That's a good question. That's the brilliant question I ask myself all the time. I played Chris, and I knew that he forgave, and I knew immediately that's where I had to be. And you said it so eloquently earlier. If I was ever in a position like that, because you never know until you're there, could you? But I kind of hope that this has given me an insight into the possibility that, probably I would like to think that I could, or certainly, I certainly feel a lot, it's kind of, not gentler, but I feel a more compassion, or I could definitely see his point of view, not the other driver's point of view, and the parents, and see how it affected other people, and so I totally understood why you did it, why you forgave. The question is, could I do it? Were in your position? Of course, we'd all hope that I would certainly hope that I could, but it's given me an insight into that it's possible. Chris Williams did it, I can do it, other people can do it, we can all, if we choose to, forgive, and we can go there, and that's the point of this movie, I think. We can all choose, if we choose to, that's how we can end conflict.
Sam, what did you learn from your character?
Well, I play the antagonist, so I didn't really want to learn anything from her.
I know you were getting at in the courtroom. You were getting at the driver saying, "No." And I was going, "But no." Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of like, "No, wait, just calm down."
I put myself in her shoes, and I wanted revenge. I wanted payback. I wanted to make up for losses that I had.
Was it an easy character to play?
It's never an easy character. I don't think I've ever played an easy character. The fun characters are the easy ones because they're fun. But no, it's a little bit of life or death.
She took it very seriously, by the way. She wanted to talk to Chris and find out a lot of how this DA actually interacted with him, because she wanted to do it true, but she really had a hard time making sure that she was going to do it correctly based on her own personal thoughts, and she really did an amazing job actually portraying this woman and trying to get him to see the value of, well, you can't just let this guy go, it means that he's just going to get off scot-free. He's like, we don't want that to happen. The state needs justice.
Even though I've read the script, I still want the end that I want. I want them to, if I'm doing the scene, I want them to rewrite the movie to them. Oh my gosh, she's right. We have to rewrite the ending of the movie. The kid has to fry. We got to put him away, And so that's what I fight for as an actress.
They say that the most dramatic sets are also kind of the most fun. in the breaks and things like that? Was there a lot of laughter
He
between
was a
takes?
barrel of laughs. Practical jokes.
I took it very seriously, and I had
not
to
the
be.
same.
I had to. It was one of those.
Yeah.
I'm quite light on set usually. This was not one I could be light with. There was
Me
just
neither.
I couldn't. Yeah, our scenes were
It's
not.
just
It was not.
That was not going to
It
happen.
wasn't just the right. You
And I imagine
couldn't
with
crack a joke and then get back to it. It was
Yeah,
just.
I imagine with the time frame you were working under too, you just was.
Yeah, the pressure was on too.
Yeah.
And everybody understood the
Yeah, there was a kind of solemnity about the set.
solemnity,
You know,
I was
there was a
gonna
kind
say,
of a reverence, and there was a kind of they treated it with respect. I mean, we were actually at the actual crash site where it happened. Chris turned up. We said a little prayer beforehand, but it was it was that you're dealing with a real thing. So a real live event. Chris is still alive. These people are still alive. They're still around.
It actually freaked the neighborhood out because we recreated it from photos perfectly. It was really quite odd, and they thought it was happening again. It really affected people in it. So we tried to protect Ian. We tried to give him his space as much as possible because we knew that this whole story was riding on his shoulders, and that if he couldn't portray this in a realistic way, that we lost. And
Yeah.
sorry, lost. But we didn't lose because he really took it seriously. We gave him his space, we gave him his time, and he was prepared, and he came out just with the passion of an actor to tell a story in an honest and true way, and that's the best that we could ask for.
Now coming out of the film though, you have forgiveness campaigns going on.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, Chris, right when it happened, actually made a national call for forgiveness. He was interviewed by some national people as he really said, look, I want people to forgive in our nation. And that's been a mantra of his going forward. Every year on the anniversary, he calls for forgiveness again. So we thought, maybe there's a way for us to run this up the flagpole a little bit higher. So we contacted the Human Journey, which is the Desmond Tutu Foundation for Global Forgiveness.
I invite you to join me and countless others in a global forgiveness challenge.
It's an international month of forgiveness now, and on the 21st is the first time that anyone is participating in this 7-day challenge.
Wow.
And so the 28th, which is 7 days later, a certain amount of people will have completed that forgiveness challenge, and we'll be asking everybody else in this night of forgiveness to go to this website and to participate in Archbishop Desmond Tutu's Forgiveness Challenge, which is a 7-day way for you to learn the steps of forgiveness and to actually forgive somebody in your life.
You guys are all on board, obviously, with this. It's
I could never forgive myself if I weren't.
The first joke of the night.
I'm sorry, will you forgive
it was
me for
light. No,
that?
I will forgive you for that. What's next for you, Sam? After this is all over, what's next?
Well, I have a book coming out
Yeah.
in about 2 months.
And can I sit with you and talk with you about that?
I
when it
would
comes
love
out?
to. It's about homeschooling.
We'll go somewhere else for dinner. Maybe we'll come here. This was great. Ian, your next project?
Yeah, I go back to. I'm doing a TV show called The 100, so I go back to that.
And then back to Utah every so often, maybe just to visit.
Possibly. I mean, this is I was here shooting the film. And, my wife and I, we love it here. My son was also in it. My son played the young Chris Williams. So yeah, we made a lot of friends here. So yeah, definitely come back and visit.
Thank you all for coming and doing this with us. It's a little bit different for us to do it this way, but I thought this would be, breaking bread a little bit and just having some fun here on Talking Pictures with the idea that this movie is a very, very serious spiritual film. Without going too far into it, it's one that you should see. Again, opening October 9th, and then hopefully you will get picked up and be seen all over the country.
Yeah, we just have to wait for that contractual obligation from Father Events to go out, and then we will actually step it out based on regional demand and get it in as many places as we can.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
you.
Thank you.
Many times I asked, why me? Why did this happen to me? And I guess I came to the conclusion, Why not me?
Again, Just Let Go opens in theaters October 9th. For Talking Pictures on Gephardt Daily, I'm Tony Toscano.